you guys are doing well. It's Miss Reese. Mr. Bass is here too. You'll see him later. Well, we thought, okay, it's the video before our review day, right? It's Tuesday or Wednesday night. We're like, okay, well, we're getting to the end of our stuff. What should we do? And we decided that maybe making a toolkit prepared for your test would be helpful for you both to study for. And it's a good thing to do, a good habit. So what we're going to do today is go through kind of, I think we've got like 5 big ideas, some big things that you really want to hold on to, like the big rules and stuff that you can study off of so you can destroy this test on Monday instead of having it destroy you. All right, so the first thing that we're going to think about and remember is when we see a negative fraction, how do we work with that? Where does the negative go? So topic 1 is going to be negative fractions. We're just going to write kind of the one big reminder and then just do one example. So a negative fraction can often appear looking like this with, you know, the fraction piece, and then the negative is kind of floating out in front of it vaguely. So when we work with negative fractions, we want to assign the negative to the numerator piece of our fraction. That's the piece that we combine and add when we have more than one fraction. So it's important that the negative sign stays with it to be accurate there. So negative fraction, that means the sign, negative sign, is attached to the numerator. Long word, numerator. All right, so if a negative is in front of your fraction, imagine that it's directly connected with the numerator, the top part here. So if we had something, for example, like negative 4/3 plus 1/3, we want to make sure, can we see it down here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We want to make sure that this negative that's floating in front of the entire fraction is instead going to be placed right next to the 4. So I'm actually going to erase it here and then put it right next to the 4. Common denominators are good to go, so we're going to go ahead and add across the top. Try and remember Mr. Bass's analogy about money that you owe versus money that you got in your pocket. So we know for sure that our denominator stays the same. We have a negative 4 and a positive 1. That'll give us a negative 3. Now, we'll talk more about this in our other sections, but make sure that you simplify all the way. Fraction is still division. Almost the same number, but opposite. This is going to simplify to equal -1. Okay, so big thing. Negative fraction. The negative sign goes. Top part only. Mr. Bass is up next.
Thought you were getting away from the song, huh? Got to get the people what they want, get the people what they want. Yep, had to do the song, had to do it fast. All right, next one. Here's the one that people often get confused. Write this in a toolkit. Come to school with the toolkit for the test so you just don't forget this, okay? So, when you are adding, wait, you said 2. So this would be topic number 2, okay? When you are adding or subtracting fractions, do you need common denominators? Yes or no? Yes, I know. That question probably just popped up. Use common denominators. I'm just going to abbreviate that, okay? Adding and subtracting, use common denominators. Multiplying and dividing, no common denominators. All right? That's just one that we see people get confused all the time. There's no reason to be confused. If you write it down on the paper when you come in on the test, if you don't remember, you could just be like, oh yeah, I reminded myself I'm not supposed to have common denominators. It's multiplying and dividing. And then you'll do really well. And you'll feel really awesome about yourself. Okay? I'm not even going to do an example of that because you should be able to figure that out. So that's the second big thing you might want to write down in the toolkit.
It's like magic, right? Okay, so number 3. So Mr. Bass was talking about common denominators, and we were looking at exit tickets and a couple other things over the last week, and we keep on seeing this. Oh, thank you. Look at that service, it's so nice. It's a really common error that when you're changing a fraction to arrive at a common denominator, that you change both parts of your fraction in the exact same way. So, topic number 3. Let's see, what could we call this one? Same change?
I don't know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm gonna write change the numerator and denominator in the same way. I think that's better. Change the numerator.
It's really equivalent fractions.
Huh?
Equivalent fractions is
Ooh,
what it is.
that's a good one too.
That's
it.
what it is.
That's it. Okay, change my mind. Sorry, good. You can erase. Equivalent fractions. Thanks, Mr. Bass.
Huh?
So equivalent means the same. That means that we're trying to find a different way for a fraction to look, but it means the same fraction. So let's say that we had something like 1/3 plus 1/4, and this is your test, and you're like, oh, need a common denominator, that's for sure. So we keep on seeing, but we see a common error of, we can find the common denominator here, right? Our lowest common denominator is going to be 12. And we want to change both our denominators so they turn into 12. Guys, make sure that if you're changing your denominator, you change your numerator by the exact same action. So, if we want this 3 to turn into 12, we would multiply it by 4. Hey! It's like nothing ever happened. So, change the bottom, change the top in the same way. So this time 4 applies to both numerator and denominator, alright? Same thing here, if we're going to change our denominator, we have to make our exact same change to our numerator as well. So be really constant and consistent in changing both of them, please.
These are two fractions that are equivalent to 1. This is a fraction that's equivalent to 1. 3/3, 4/4, equivalent to 1. What?
Whoa! Okay.
My turn?
Yeah.
It's like a relay race. Topic number 4 says, I forgot. Oh yeah. When dividing fractions, flip the second fraction and multiply. Remember, flip, in other words, we'll say in math terms, use the reciprocal. Okay? So remember that when you're dividing the fractions, you want to make sure that you turn it into a multiplication problem. So division becomes multiplication, the second fraction gets flipped over. So for example, right, this is all kind of good stuff. Could be in your toolkit, it's weird. -3/8 divided by -16/7. I don't like this problem, so I want to rewrite it to say -3/8 times -7/16. Hey, notice my negative still stayed on top as well, right? And that's totally legal, okay? So just go ahead and keep it on top. I'm not actually even going to finish this one from here, but remember, when you're dividing, you want to flip that second fraction and then just turn it into a multiplication problem.
All right, so last one. This is more of like a save yourself some time strategy. You could even call it a shortcut. And number 5, the last one, is going to be simplify before you multiply. If you can. So we're going to take a look at an example that looks like this. If we had 5/7 times as Mr. Bass went over, multiplying fractions just straight across the top and across the bottom. But maybe you're looking at this and you're like, well, I'm not exactly sure what 7 times 30 is off the top of my head, which is okay, because what we can do is simplify these before we go ahead and multiply them. So 5 and 30 can both be divisible by 5, so let's go ahead and do that. 5 divided by 5 will give us 1. 30 divided by 5 will give us 6. Notice that we're reducing across top and bottom of the second fraction. And then what do you know? 7 and 14 can both be divisible by 7 as well. Remember us talking about making the same action here? So this would give us 2, and then this would give us 1. So we have 1 over 1 times 2 over 6, which to me seems like a lot much more approachable of a problem. And I'll let you guys go ahead and handle that and finish up.
That's it. That's your toolkit. You know how to do all that stuff? You'll be ready for your test. You'll be ready for the practice test that you're taking today.
Boom.
Boom. That's it.